The man was rock climbing. He just looked up at the sky. The next second, a dead body suddenly crashed straight onto his climbing rope. The impact of the fall dragged him down hard as well, and the expansion bolts on the rock wall instantly snapped off. Luckily, the screws his partner had fixed at the top were strong enough, so a bigger tragedy was avoided. The three of them were hanging in mid-air, 100 meters above the ground like skewered candied hawthorn. They barely managed to survive. Fortunately, this was a national forest park. After receiving the emergency call, the rescue team arrived quickly and pulled the two climbers to safety. The female body was handed over to Detective Kyle from the Criminal Investigation Unit. Kyle rushed to the scene on horseback as soon as he got the report. The moment he arrived, he could not help but praise the rescue team. All traces in the forest had been completely destroyed by the rescuers. Now there was no way to identify any evidence left by the victim. Then Kyle asked the climbers to describe everything that had happened, but they knew nothing at all. When he asked where the girl's body was, the ranger Sean told him it was still hanging in mid-air. Seeing the dark clouds gathering in the sky and the possibility of rain, Kyle knew the helicopter rescue team would not be able to work in this weather, so he put on a safety harness without hesitation and rappelled straight down the rock wall using a tripod anchor system. But the moment he saw the body up close, even Kyle, who was used to death and crime scenes, frowned. The woman had deep bone-exposed bite wounds from wild animals on her thigh. Her palms were full of black poplar wood splinters, and her whole body was covered in scratches from thorns and rocks. It was obvious she had been running for a long time in the wilderness. On her wrist was a bracelet with letter beads. Just as Kyle reached out to collect evidence, the bracelet suddenly broke, and the beads scattered into the forest below the cliff. After confirming there were no more clues on the body, he notified his team and had himself and the body pulled back up together. When the body was taken to the morgue, the initial autopsy results from the medical examiner made the case even more confusing. There was an X-shaped tattoo on the victim's wrist inlaid with gold. The craftsmanship was refined and expensive. It clearly showed she came from a wealthy family, but she was wearing shoes that were clearly one size too small. Her toes were badly damaged and almost unrecognizable, meaning she often wore ill-fitting shoes and may have even run barefoot for a long distance in the wilderness. Even more strange, she had no phone, no wallet, no identification documents at all, not even fingerprints or DNA matching any database. In 3 days since the incident, there was not a single missing person report in the entire jurisdiction that matched her. A rich girl raised in luxury. Why would she appear alone in such a remote wilderness? Why was she desperately running toward the top of a cliff? And what forced her into a fatal fall? No one could answer these questions. Kyle was certain of only one thing. The broken bracelet at the bottom of the cliff was the only key to unlocking the mystery. So that night, he rode alone down to the base of the cliff and spent over 3 hours searching through rocks and bushes until he finally found all the scattered beads one by one. The next morning, he threw a saddle to his assistant and prepared to track the victim's footprints from the mountaintop downward to fully reconstruct her final escape route. The handprints on the rocks and the uneven barefoot tracks in the mud looked like a trail drawn in strawberry jam. They followed the marks downward for most of the day, until an abandoned hunting supply cabin finally appeared in front of them. When they pushed the door open, there was indeed a rope soaked in red residue on the floor. It was clearly used by the girl to wrap her thigh wound and stop the bleeding. Strange carved symbols were also left on the cabin walls, twisted and bizarre. No one could understand their meaning. Kyle simply took photos of them, planning to have someone analyze them later. Ellie was confused. Why would a girl with such severe injuries not stay and hide longer in the cabin? Just as she was about to open the door to the inner room, Kyle reacted instantly and fired 2 shots at the door. The deafening gunshots scared off a black bear inside. Ellie broke out in a cold sweat. Without Kyle, she would have already become the bear's snack. After leaving the cabin, they continued searching downhill. Soon they found the girl's lost shoes by the roadside and several sets of wolf tracks scattered nearby. Based on the evidence, at least 3 wolves had been chasing her all the way. A few hundred meters further, a darker patch of red residue suddenly appeared on the trail. Kyle crouched down to examine it, and a smooth scrape mark on the rock beside it caught his attention. Realizing something, he pulled out his knife and dug into a nearby tree trunk. A deformed rifle bullet was pried out from the wood. The medical examiner's re-examination quickly confirmed his suspicion. The bullet had precisely pierced the girl's thigh, but after exiting the wound, the injury had been torn open again by wolf bites. The 2 sets of traces overlapped, which is why the first autopsy missed the abnormality. The truth flipped instantly. This was not an accident fall from a cliff, nor a simple animal attack. Someone had shot at her while chasing her, but behind her was a pack of wolves, and in front of her was a sheer cliff. In this dead-end situation, she was forced step by step into jumping off the cliff. The case was upgraded from accident to homicide, but all leads were completely cut off. Until Kyle's wife came to visit. She casually picked up the bracelet and rearranged the letter beads. A familiar word suddenly appeared. Kyle's mind exploded with realization. He quickly rushed to the storage cabinet. It was the name of a summer hiking camp from 15 years ago. Back then, every participant received the same bracelet. The camp was later shut down after a series of bear attacks in the forest. Kyle realized this might be the key clue to identifying the victim. So the next day he went to Ellie. But Ellie felt the hope was slim. It was all from 15 years ago, and participants often exchanged bracelets with each other. It would be almost impossible to trace anything now. Kyle's newly sparked hope was extinguished again. His head felt like it was splitting open. To clear his mind, that night he lay on the grass with his son watching meteors in the sky. Unexpectedly, a native ranger came to find him and gave Kyle a fish. To Kyle, the meteors looked beautiful, but to the ranger they carried a different meaning entirely.
The death has come again to my people's lands. Their bodies will fall like the stars.
The ranger's words were just like the girl who fell from the cliff. Every wound on her body was like a falling star. All mysteries had only just been revealed a little. And what exactly was the truth behind it all? We will continue digging deeper in the next episode.